Founders are easily the most valuable asset that a brand has that is so underutilized, especially at the small business and startup level. I think this really needs to change, and the startup founders and small business owners that embrace a personal brand as a founder are going to see incredible results in their marketing over the next several years. We're going to talk about the data that actually backs this up, anecdotal evidence that I've seen, case studies from my own clients that I have worked with, that I have leveraged this concept for, and tangible things that you can start doing to build a personal brand as a founder that will actually help grow your company. Okay, first things first, let's actually talk about the hard data because you don't know me from Adam. And while my anecdotes might have some value, we're going to base this in data first and foremost. So, my favorite data points that I love to use, I have about 20 or so, just under 20 that I like to reference a lot, but specifically to why I believe a founder is the most valuable asset a brand has and why it is so underutilized. Let's dig into some of that data really quick. Number one, I think this is easily the most important piece to think about is 82% of people are more likely to trust a company when its leadership is active on social media. This is only further kind of pushed along by the idea that 65% of Gen Z prefer to buy from brands where they know the founder or story behind it. Number one, it's very, very clear that when people can see you on social media or really in any digital space, it doesn't have to just be social media, but when they see you on podcasts, when they see you guest writing, when they see you producing content, they feel like they know you more. Whether they do or not, they feel like they can trust you more, they connect with you more, and they're more likely to award business to your company. The second piece is of that, 65% of Gen Z like to know the founder or story behind it. Gen Z, the oldest of Gen Z is like 29. So we're getting more and more of the next several years. You're going to have Gen Z in decision-making roles, management roles, people who are actually going to become stakeholders. So the fact that the generation that is coming up most quickly in the workforce feels this way makes it even more critical. I think that we start to kind of understand that we're no longer in a funnel world, we're in a trust economy. And everything we do from a marketing perspective and a way that we promote our businesses and try to grow them is got to have trust at the front, at the forefront of everything. We've thought about, I think, marketing in a very different way over the past several years. But the reality is we're in a trust economy now. The thing that we can do that can help people trust our businesses the most, especially in saturated places, if you're in a highly competitive market, like I own a marketing company, I'm in a very saturated place. I'm in a very competitive market. There's no doubt about it. But one thing that I have that I can leverage is myself. When I really think about why clients choose us and work with us for a long period of time, it's not because our portal is really cool. It's not because, our processes are just so perfect and so much better than everybody else's. Of course, we try to, do a really, really good service, do really good work. We do have a cool portal. We try to differentiate ourselves, but ultimately they trust us. They trust our leadership. They trust the work we've done. They trust us in the sales process. That's really what everything boils down to. And they really feel like we're people who are trustworthy, that we have integrity, that we're going to do things the right way. That's really what all this boils down to. And in a world where AI and technology is completely kind of blowing up so much of what we have known and what we have believed, having somebody that you really feel like you can trust and connect with has become just an insanely high value, and trust is now currency. A few more data points that I think really, really point to the value around whether you're an executive, you're a founder, you are a business owner, that really shows that you are an integral part of your company's success, and not just the decisions you make and how you go about things, but actually your presence, your digital presence specifically. A few interesting kind of pieces here. 66% of consumers say their perception of a CEO affect their opinion of the company's reputation. Nearly 50% of a company's market value is tied to the CEO's reputation. And it even goes beyond just the marketing piece, which I think is kind of interesting. A positive CEO reputation attracts employees more and helps retain those employees as well. It's just so obvious that the leadership of a company, it is not just affecting the decisions that are made, the operations, the vision cast of the company. It intricately is involved in the marketing and the sales and the HR and the perception of the company and how people see it and how it's going to get business going forward. Anecdotally, I have seen this over and over again as well. And I'll just give you a few examples of my own situation that I have seen and when I actually kind of started to see myself as extremely valuable for my company. It has been years in the making, honestly. I knew for years and years that I should be more out front. I knew that I should have a personal brand. I knew that I should really treat myself as an asset, if you will, for my business. But imposter syndrome and busyness and everything else kind of got in the way. But once I started making that shift, I did start seeing significant change in myself, in conversations I was having, as well as just the quality of leads. I would see things happen like we'd get a lead through the Breezy Company is my company. We'd get a lead for a call and I would see that person's name come through our system. And then an hour later, I would see that person check out my LinkedIn profile. And my first thought was, I'm really proud of that. I'm really glad they went and looked at my LinkedIn because that sales call is going to be so much easier now because if they still want to get on the call with me and still want to talk, they're going to know what I'm about. They're going to see my credibility. They're going to see, what I do. They're going to understand that I know what I'm talking about. I come across credibly and I don't have to be embarrassed that they went and looked me up. People do this all the time. They look up the founder, especially of small businesses and startups, because it's such a more personalized, model when it's a smaller company. Large companies, it's a very different situation. The whole idea that like people don't trust logos, they trust people. At massive companies, they do trust logos because there's been brand equity that has been built into that for a very long time. But when it comes to a small business or a startup and people don't know who you are, they don't know what your business is, absolutely they need to trust you. They do trust people over logos. And so what I've really, really aimed to do with our company is to position myself as somebody who can be trusted, who is authentic, who is real. I really try to be real about marketing. It can be a very, kind of skeevy place. People can try to sell you a lot of crap. And I really try to be real and authentic about it and really stay in my lane and talk about things that I'm most passionate about. So when people go and look at those things, I am backing up with what we say as a company we are, because as a person, I'm doing the same thing. And I get that. Like, why would I want to spend my money with a company if I go look at a founder's profile and it's barren or it has, crappy content on it, or it doesn't look like they're active at all in a space? It just makes you feel like, are they really trying to grow their business? Like, or even if, it doesn't give you implications of, their ability to do the work for which you're, exploring, maybe it makes you think like, I don't know who they are, but like, I see this other founder of this other company that I'm exploring and they're really out front and they're really active on social, and I see the content they post and I kind of know how they think, I know what they believe. I'm going to go with them over somebody else. And this continues to happen over and over again. I have a client that is a really, really great case study for this and makes a lot of sense. He has a fractional CFO company, and within the company, he really tends to work with people who are in the $750,000 to $5 million in income a year kind of range, if you will. Because of that, that's a pretty high trust, group of people. They make really, really good money. They have a lot of assets. They usually have multiple businesses. They also have other, real estate holdings, and they have other family holdings and things like that. And those people really need to know who you are and if you know what you're talking about. When we started working with his company, he was still kind of behind his logo and wasn't really out front. And what I realized is we needed to position him out front, and not just from the practical, reach elements of it, because you're going to get, better reach and engagement on social when the founder is out front, when it's a real person that's trying to engage. It was a strategic positioning decision because these sorts of people, like while he had a team that they might work with, they really were coming for him. If they were going to work with him, they were going to spend money with him. Ultimately, it was his credibility they needed to feel good about, his authority in his space, him knowing what he was talking about and knowing how to work with people like him. And so we positioned his content in that way and talked to those people directly and had him do that constantly. We saw incredible results for his LinkedIn, and we also saw really, really good, anecdotal business evidence as well. So if you're like, okay, I'm on board, I get it. I'm a founder. I'm ready to invest in my personal brand. I'm ready to have a more founder-facing position for my company. I'm ready to make an investment in this. I haven't really realized it before, but it makes a lot of sense now. And I get how this can make a really, really big impact in my business this year. What do I actually do next? What are the things that I should do practically that are not going to be completely overwhelming? If I had to start my personal brand over and I had to kind of start from scratch, these are the sorts of things that I would start. There's 5 different habits that I would start building so that you can start creating the personal brand that will actually help grow your business. Number one, post just 3 times a week on one platform that you really like and feel like your audience is already in. That's going to be different for everybody based on your industry position, what you're trying to do, who you're trying to reach. But just pick one platform and post 3 times a week. It could be three, text only posts. It could be photos. It could be videos. I would definitely recommend a mix of all three, but just commit to 3 times a week, posting original content or reposting things too. That can count as well on one singular platform. You can get into repurposing later. You can get into building other platforms later, but wherever your audience is spending the most time, go ahead and really invest there and start committing to 3 times a week. This is going to start building a really, really good foundation of content for you. Number two, block time like it's a client meeting or a meeting that's typically on your calendar. When you put creation time on your calendar, it will actually happen. But if you don't treat it like something that is a non-negotiable on your calendar, you will not do it and it will not be consistent. And that will become a problem in itself. I find that I film on the same day at the same time every single week. I never miss a week. If I need to, if I know I need to miss next week, I go ahead and double up the previous week and really just having that strategic planning ahead. But it always being on the calendar, that makes sure that I never miss it. Number three is to get help early, even if it's just a little bit. If you have an internal team that can help you with this, that's obviously massive. And that's exactly what you should do. Lean into your assistant, lean into interns, lean into whoever you have that can help you with these things. But if you don't have somebody, definitely look to get some help, even if it's a small amount through like a scalable solution. The Breeze Company, that's how we work. We work in a very custom way with people to create content there for their personal brands, their company brands. So you don't have to get locked into a large contract or get locked into a large situation. You can go with just a subscription model like ours, or maybe you just work with a strategist. Maybe you work with a consultant. I still consult with people on their personal brands. Sometimes they don't need to actually be a practitioner. They don't need somebody to actually execute the content for them or make things for them, but they just need guidance. They need help to know, does this actually make sense? How should I repurpose this? What should my strategy be here? And you can work with somebody to do that as well. That can be extremely beneficial. The fourth thing I would really say, and I wish I had learned this much earlier on, is create for your buyer, not for your peers. I think it's a really, really easy trap to fall into when you start building a personal brand because you want to see gratification, you want to see people connecting with it. And sometimes it's easier when you talk about things that people in your industry would already connect with. And when your peers, see that content, they're going to engage with it. But that's not what the actual point of what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with that to a degree. Like you want to have a good network. You want to have people that you connect with. And there's nothing wrong with talking about those industry topics, from time to time. But ultimately, really think about the point of building this personal brand. It's to bring more visibility, trust, and opportunity to your company. That's the entire point. So build content for your buyer, not just for your peers, because ultimately engagement doesn't matter that much if you're not actually driving it to the business goal that you're trying to do all this for. And lastly, use content as leverage for visibility. You can turn all that content that you make into so many other things that will help you get greater visibility, which will drive more trust and more opportunity for your business, which is the entire point of doing this. You can turn it into podcast pitches, guest articles, even speaking opportunities. Your content is proof that you know what you're talking about, and it can create such a powerful machine to help you create more, not just visibility, but trust and credibility for your business. If you haven't invested in yourself as a founder and you haven't been using yourself as the incredibly valuable asset that you are, it is time you started. If you have any questions at all about how to get started, you can drop a comment below and make sure you subscribe to this channel for more tips, strategies, and ideas around building a personal brand as a founder that actually helps grow your company.